The bye week has kind of become something here. It's kind of become a talking point, as it should be. They say, is it rest? Is it rust? Some of these teams wait like 3 weeks before playing ball. That's a long time while another team is kind of gearing up. You can get healthy. Isaiah Bond comes back, obviously, for Texas, and I know they had to play in the first round, but you can get healthy and get guys back for this entire thing. But you can also get a little bit too comfortable. You can also kind of fail on your fundamentals and techniques. You can also have to get woken up in the first quarter, which all these teams have had to do thus far. Is Georgia going to be able to handle it better than others, you think, because they've been in this situation before?
I think so. There's such a fine line, and Kirby's done this for so long and been in these games, so many times. He knows the right balance. It's always trying to figure out, with the buys, and you got 2.5, 3 weeks. How much do we practice? How much do we rest? How much is walkthrough? How much are we going to tackle? How much ball secure? All those things that you listen to every head coach that we talk to, you guys talk to on the side of what's the biggest concern with, having a couple weeks off. It's our ability. Are we going to be able to tackle? Are we going to be able to take care of the ball? And you mentioned Ashton Jenny, and I was there for that game, with in Tempe there for that game in Phoenix, the Fiesta Bowl. He fumbled twice all season, right? And he's got 2 fumbles, in the first quarter, first half of that game. So you're always worried about knocking off rust. You're always worried about your guys and the distractions, in the period of time, and listening to this, listening to that to maintain focus. Kirby and them, his boys will be focused.
He's had delays before, and obviously bowl games have had delays. There's been month and a half delays for some teams that end up playing in the semifinals or in the national championship before, alone this season. But it has become a little bit of a disparity. You talk about Russ holding on to the ball, hitting people. It's also game speed. We saw Oregon watching Jeremiah come across, and then eye candy, and you haven't been in a season. It's back-to-back weeks. Okay, so you're kind of in it. Whenever you're out of that, you can try to replicate it in practice. You can try your best to replicate it. But whenever it's all happening, and then check, that's your guy, my guy. What zone am I in? What am I doing? Having to get that all back in the first quarter of a college football playoff game, and the other team knows that you got that shit to deal with too. So they're coming out trying to kill. And Chip Kelly in the Ohio State Buckeyes, I think their plan, their strategy, and taking advantage of the break was evident. I think that was very, very evident. And also, if you got that guy on your team, triple coverage, double coverage, behind the line of scrimmage, down the field, on the sideline, in the middle of the field. Where's number 4? Let's go ahead and give him the rock. And then Ibuka obviously is able to eat as well. He's a number 1 wide receiver on a lot of teams. Tate's a number 1 wide receiver on a lot of teams. But I think what I've seen from this Ohio State team with these guys, these last 2 games, that was filthy. I was right there doing it with him on the side. I couldn't help but get excited in the entire thing. Watching him jump, almost hit his head off the crossbar.
Yeah.
He almost hit his head off the crossbar there while he was jumping and turning and doing his thing.
Insane.
He's a freak show. All season, though, there is a chance. Now, this is Chip Kelly's first season as offense coordinator over there, but Chip Kelly obviously knows the game. There's a chance that, the way you run your offense, you have to take care of a lot of people. With the new transfer portal, with the NIL, with how people feel, you can get a lot of players plucked, especially if you're in there. So maybe Chip Kelly was trying to make everybody happy for a long time. Maybe. I'm not saying this is what he was doing, but these last 2 weeks, there has been an obvious effort. Jeremiah Smith's going to get the ball.
Yeah.
And I think
everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
We're in a team meeting. Hey, guys, we're going to throw to number 4, Jeremiah. Everybody go with that? Yes, Coach. Yeah, we're good with that.
Okay, good. That's where it was very obvious. In the Tennessee game, it was as soon as Will Howard saw Jeremiah one-on-one, it was I don't care what this play is, I'm going his way. And that happened last night a bunch of times. It was I don't know what the play was supposed to be, but I do know Jeremiah Smith is on the field, so let's go ahead and try to get him the rock. There was a couple plays where he wasn't in, and then as soon as he gets back on the field, it's we know what is going to happen here. He's unguardable.
And it don't matter.
It does not matter. And also, I like the fact that this Ohio State team is just trying to do whatever they can to dominate people.
Mm-hmm. Coach, after the first 3 games of this second round, basically every team on the bye has come out slow. And aside from Arizona State, most of them have been gotten absolutely slaughtered during the game. Is there any real way to kind of keep your team hot when you do have this massive, time off? Because it wasn't just, a 1-week bye. Obviously, most of the teams hadn't played since championship weekend. And do you think Kirby did anything different because of the fact that he has dealt with, a little bit of a break before on his national championship runs?
Well, I think there's 2 things that you worry about. First of all is ball security, because the ball handlers haven't been hit, and then how you're going to tackle on defense. because, when you practice, you don't want to tackle and take people to the ground. So you got to do a good job of trying to thud up and all that type of thing. But my thing was the first years that I was a head coach at Michigan State, we lost 5 straight bowl games. And I tried to practice the team to the game, if you know what I mean. Carry the momentum of the season all the way to the game. And we got our ass kicked in every one of them. And then when I got to LSU and other places, I said, we're going to treat this like a one-game season, and we're going to back out from when we play to have 11 practices, 3 or 4 of them camp practices, the rest of them, preparation for the game, and go play the game. And we had a lot more success that way because emotionally, the players didn't have to worry about the game for 3 weeks. But this is different because it used to be in college, everybody had a long time off before they played. So we had a 14 playoff. You played December 6th in the SEC championship game. Then you played January 1st in the first round of the playoffs. The other team was off too. So there didn't look to have a difference in how people played. But now you got people that are being able to play continuously with, maybe 10 days in between games. And then you got somebody that's been off for 3 weeks. And I do think how you manage that is really, really important. But I'm telling you, you need to go from wherever the game is and take it back like it's a one-game season and you're getting ready for one game and just have the players work out, condition, do 7-on-7 on their own. Coaches not in their face telling them what to do. Not worrying about the game, not worrying about the game plan, because you can practice too much for a game. And you can lose a lot of fundamentals if you don't practice the right way. And that's why we always had 3 camp practices, just like we're in fall camp.
Do you think Kirby understands that? I feel like Arizona State, Dillingham, he's 31 years old. This is the first time his team showed up for him, too. And his speech last year, I think, at the end of the year, how close they were, he said, with everything we're doing behind the scenes, it's almost like what Coach Dan Hurley did with UConn. But obviously UConn goes on to win multiple national championships. But Coach Dillingham over there, he said, we're close. I see everything we're doing behind the scenes. I think we're close. They come out, they put up a fight against Texas, almost win that game, should have won that game. Helmet to helmet. Helmet to helmet, that's game over. That's first down, that game's over. Nonetheless, it's not called. Then you think about what happened with Boise State. They've never been in that situation. This particular Boise State team, never been in that situation before. Oregon, you would think okay, Lanning's been around, he's been in it, but they haven't had to deal with it. Kirby has had to deal with this type of thing before. You would think the Georgia team would be ready. How do you feel about this 4 o'clock game? And how do you think Notre Dame takes advantage of maybe Georgia not playing for a while? Are they going to try to do what Chip tried to do to Oregon? I think Chip Kelly knew, hey, if we come out and bomb them early, they're going to be in a whirlwind because they haven't played in a while. Do you think Marcus is thinking the same thing for Notre Dame, or how do you think this thing goes early?
I think Georgia, because of the experience they have playing in these games, and they've had to play games, playoff games, lots of playoff games where they had a significant amount of time off. I think Kirby's got a lot of experience managing, that situation, probably do it fairly similar to the way we did it. So you never know if time off is a good thing, just like bye weeks. People talk about bye weeks during the season as being a good thing. Sometimes they're a good thing, sometimes they're a bad thing. When your team has good momentum, you just want to keep playing and roll on. If your team's beat up and hurt and tired, you want to have time off to get them to rest and recover. But I think every one of those things is circumstantial. And I think in Georgia case, they had a lot of guys injured, toward the end of the season. So they probably will benefit from having some time off, actually.
I'm excited to see what Notre Dame tries to do early, because they had that 98-yard touchdown run, in the first quarter against Indiana, which set the tone for it, basically. Now, Indiana was able to tighten it up. They were able to tighten it up. 27-17 is that game. But, they're very focused on the run, on the run, on the run. You would think that physical could maybe beat down Georgia if they're trying to find their bearings yet again. But to your point, Georgia knows that they're going to run the ball. So Kirby's had a few weeks here now knowing that the run's coming, and I think that I'm excited for this game at 4 o'clock. Yeah. I think we got another really good one on our hands, and obviously it being delayed another day helps out. Go ahead.
I think 2 things for Georgia. Number 1, they got to do a good job up front building the fence on these runners and stop the run, which means they got to tackle well. and they can't put all the pressure on the secondary making tackles in space, because that's going to be a problem. And the second thing is can they keep Gunnar Stockton out of long yardage situations where this guy has to make plays? If they can keep him sort of on schedule where the down and distance is in his favor, you don't know if it's a run, a pass, a bootleg, whatever, that's how he'll operate the best. But if they have a lot of self-inflicted wounds and get behind the sticks, then he's probably going to have a tough time, and that's when Notre Dame is going to dial it up on him and give him some looks that he's probably not ready for. And what happened in the Texas game when he threw that bad interception may happen again.